Hey everyone, it's LethalLogicX. Welcome back to another video. So earlier today I posted on the lockpicking subreddit that I've been working on a new 3D printed lock design, and you guys seem to really like it, so I'm going to make a video kind of further explaining this and how it works. And this is also going to double as a assembly video that will go on the Thiniverse to help anyone who wants to print one of these out and doesn't quite know how to assemble it. So, It's definitely a little bit grindy, but it does work, and the shackle is super stiff, but nothing a little filing can't take care of. This is still kind of an early prototype or work in progress, but I thought it was neat and worth sharing. So anyway, we're going to do the assembly first. So through the magic of video editing, we're going to get this disassembled. Alright, we got that all disassembled, so here's all of the parts. We have the body of the lock, the core, the key, the top retainer plate, the shackle, the pins, the bottom retainer plate, the pawl, the springs, and the ball bearings. As a quick note, the ball bearings, pawl, and shackle are all optional. They just turn this into a functioning lock, but without all of those you will still have a functioning core. First things you're going to want to do is kind of clean up all of your parts, this piece especially. This one has an unsupported overhang that I couldn't figure out how to put good supports on, so you're going to want to kind of clean up this edge. Your goal is just to make sure that the core fits in and rotates smoothly. After you've got all of your pieces assembled, first thing we're going to want to do is install all of the key pins into the core. And then we're going to do a test fit with the key to make sure that works. Make sure we keep those in order. So while this is upside down, shove the key in from the bottom and you should see all of the pins come up to the same height, and then kind of feel with your finger and make sure that all of them are flush. If there's any of them protruding out a little bit, don't modify the key pin, instead modify the key. And you're going to want to grind down these flats a little bit until it works. Once all of these feel flush, you'll be ready to move on. We're going to leave that down there for a moment. The next step is the optional bit. We're going to be installing the locking mechanism. So first things first, we're going to grab these ball bearings and kind of just drop them into the little hole there. See if I can show you guys this. You just want them inside that little bit there and kind of push them off to the side. They're not going to stay there, but do the best you can. Then we're going to install the pawl. The pawl should be installed so that the slanted bits are closer to the ball bearings. Whoops. If you install it like this with the flat down, that is not going to work. It's kind of hard to wiggle this in there. There is a little kind of track that it sits on. Just like that. And it spaces the ball bearings apart. You should note now that if you're holding that pawl back, the shackle does not go in because the ball bearings are in the way. The core has a little flat spot on it that allows this pawl to pop out and makes room for the ball bearings to retract. Once all of that is in place, you're going to kind of marry these two halves together, hopefully without dropping anything. And guess what I just did? I dropped something. Okay. I think that was the right chamber. And it's also a good time to make sure that your key still works. There's going to be no spring tension on these yet, so it's going to be very kind of grindy and sloppy, but that'll get better. Oh, I kind of just turned that core, don't want to do that. Now we're going to get the the driver pins in place. And I believe it is at this point we can get the shackle in place. So this cover plate has to slide in over top of the core. And you will have to rotate the core 180 degrees. Again, since there's no spring tension, you kind of have to hold it upside down for this. Once it is rotated 180 degrees, there will be room for the shackle to go down in. And you can again relock it. And now the top side and shackle portion is finished. Now we just have to get the springs in. This part is kind of annoying. I do have a thought on how to fix this for the next iteration. There will be like a plate that you'll push down on top of all of these and then slide the retainer plate over that, but I have not implemented that into the design yet. So you kind of just have to compress the springs by hand and slowly wiggle the cover plate into place. Be very careful you don't shoot yourself in the eye with one of these springs. Okay, there we go. I've got all of them in there. And we now have a functioning lock, just like that. And you should now be able to operate it with the key. Shackle comes out. Relock it. It's still a little bit sticky. There we go. And shackle is locked. Alright, so that serves as an assembly video. Yeah, it's a little bit cumbersome right now, but future models will improve, hopefully. And that's about all I have for you on this lock. I still have no idea how to pick this, because I have built quite a few anti-pick features into this. I'm actually going to go over those real quick before I finish off the video here. First things first is I purposefully made as wide open a keyway as possible, both because it's easier to print, easier to make a key, and also because it is now ridiculously difficult to tension this. I considered using like just a standard tension wrench, shoving it in the one side and turning it. Actually, this side would probably work better, but as you can see, you kind of end up bumping up against one of the pins there, and no matter which way you pick it, you're always going to be jamming up one of those pins with your tensioner. Additionally, the balanced key pins and driver pins that are all the same length through here prevents impressioning attacks. You can't just push down all of the pins with equal force and expect it to open, because the driver pins are all different lengths. And lastly, we have that beautiful ball bearing locking mechanism which cannot be shimmed. Unfortunately though, this doesn't really have a lot of hammer protection, but that doesn't really count as picking. Anyway, I will keep you guys updated if I change the design or fix any of the lingering issues. If you like what you saw, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget to have a good one.